Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our session on protecting consumers in a digital era, regulatory innovations across MENA region. Now, I think we all know that the growing reliance on digital financial services creates a lot of opportunities, but with that also comes risk and therefore challenges for regulatory authorities and how best to safeguard consumers, both individual consumers and MSMEs, small, medium, and micro enterprises. And then specifically also vulnerable consumer groups, lower income, less experienced digital users. So what we're doing in this session is to bring together regulatory authorities from the Middle East and North Africa region to bring a MENA-specific perspective on how consumer protection frameworks are evolving in response to digital transformation. So we're joined today by a list of panelists. We have Her Excellency Fatma Al-Jabri, the Assistant Governor for Financial Crime and Market Conduct Supervision from the Central Bank of the UAE. Morning, Your Excellency. And then she's also joined by Mr. Fahmi Ayashi, who's the Acting Head of Market Conduct and Consumer Protection Supervision, also at the Central Bank of the UAE. And then from Egypt, we have Mr. Ayman Al-Sayed, the General Manager from the Central Bank of Egypt. And then not yet on the call, but joining us soon is Mr. Nawaf Al-Qurashi, the head of Consumer Protection Offsite Supervision at the Saudi Central Bank, SAMA. So he's having some technical difficulties, but will hopefully be joining soon. So without further ado, just to get us started, I would like to ask Her Excellency Fatma Al-Jabri just to give us some opening reflections. AG Fatma, if you can please just set the tone for us for the session. Tell us a little bit about the Central Bank of the UAE's commitment to consumer protection, but also more broadly, what you see as the role of regional collaboration.
Thank you, Christine, and good morning again to everybody with us on the session. Distinguished guests, colleagues, and partners, welcome to this important session. Today's meeting is more than just regional update. It reflects our commitment and common goal to building strong, inclusive, and future-ready financial system across the MENA region. As regulators, Christine, our job is not only to oversee financial activities, but also to build trust, ensure stability, and encourage innovation. The challenges we face are complex, but they also bring great opportunities, from digital transformation to sustainable finance. The choices we make today can drive major growth across our region. It is important to acknowledge the progress we've made, particularly around strengthening consumer protection framework. Many MENA countries have taken major steps to safeguard users, enhance transparency, and build confidence in the financial system. Yet, despite all those efforts, our region continues to suffer from one of the highest financial exclusion rates globally. Millions remain outside the formal financial system, unable to access the tools that drive economical empowerment. This is not just a policy gap, it is a social development and a development imperative. In the UAE, under the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, we've taken major steps forward. Our financial regulations are evolving to meet and even in some situations set global standards. We are proud to be the hub for fintech, a champion for financial inclusion, and a model for an agile governance. So I wish to take this session to share ideas, turn policies into real progress, speak openly, work together, and commit to one goal of building regulations that act not as barriers, but as bridges to innovation, prosperity, and trust. Thank you. Back to you, Christine.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think that sets the scene very well. Building on what AG Fatma has said, Fahmi, if I can go over to you, can you please give us an overview of what the key pillars are of the UAE's consumer protection framework, and then also how those are adapting to digital financial services?
Sure. Thank you so much, Christine, and good morning, ladies and gents. So, in the UAE, the central bank have basically had the privilege to develop its consumer protection framework in 2021, and the development was made in accordance and alignment with the OECD consumer protection principles, largely focusing on the pillars of disclosure and transparency, fair treatment, including complaints resolution, governance oversight, responsible business, and market conduct. Now, from adoption to the digital financial service perspective, over here we have the applicability of the regulatory requirements on all licensed financial institutions, regardless to the way that the service or the product is offered. So all the requirements basically apply to all the financial institutions. In fact, the digital financial services has over to enhance the way that some of those pillars being promoted. If I take, for example, the disclosure and transparency, if I take the inclusion, the digital services actually have provided additional room to enhance the offering of those the promotion of those pillars.
Thank you very much. Can you give us just a few maybe examples beyond what you've mentioned on what you see also as the challenges in terms of digital financial services and how your framework is addressing that, just to elaborate a little bit more on what you've said now?
Sure, Christine. I mean, definitely when we talk about technology, there are a set of challenges that comes with technology, considering that the public is not on the same level when it comes to technology. So not everyone is technology savvy. However, we look at the opportunity. So, for example, if I take inclusion, the technology has provided a huge access to group of customers that they didn't have access to a lot of banking services in the past. In terms of education and awareness, the technology also has provided a platform where we have seen and evidence a number of LFIs have been creative in terms of launching educational campaigns that goes beyond the set of customers of that particular LFI. We have seen LFIs conducting webinars, having basically social media campaigns targeting the younger groups of who uses the social media on a regular basis. So the technology has provided a way beyond the conventional way or beyond what we used to see being used to promote those pillars of consumer protection.
Okay, excellent. Thanks. And I think that leads us very nicely also to the question for you, Mr. Nawaf. Thanks for joining. I'm glad that you managed to sort out the difficulties there. So I'm really interested in just understanding the recent regulatory measures that the Saudi Central Bank, SAMA, has introduced to enhance consumer trust. Because I think what we've heard from both AG Fatma and Mr. Fahmy is just the importance within the digital sphere to build consumer trust.
So back to the question, before talking about specific regulations, I would like to note that SAMA, as a regulation, the approach is not just about issuing regulations. It's about making sure these regulations effectively improve fairness and transparency across the market. So SAMA always reviews market practices, identifies new risks, and updates the regulations to keep consumer protected and to promoting trust in the financial sector. So to answer the question, one of the most important recent steps was issuing the updated rules for issuing and operating credit cards. So these updates aim to make credit card operations clear and easy to understand, while also reducing costs for consumers. Also, it reflects SAMA's commitment to staying up to date with market changes, and it's aligned with best practices in this regard. So the updated rules improve how credit cards are issued and managed, and ensuring more transparency and fairness in all related operations. So, and also at the same time, it's support innovation and fair competition across financial sector. And one of the other important steps is the debt collection rules for individual consumers. These rules basically that ensure that all financial institutions follow fair and clear procedures when collecting debts from consumers. And the main goal is to keep a process simple, professional, and transparent, and again in the line with all best practices in this regard. So these regulations and the other recent regulations, along with the other recent initiatives as well, are all designed to promoting trust in the financial sector.
Thank you very much. And it's interesting to see that the credit space is one of the angles where you're picking up a specific need for transparency and clearer rules, and ensuring that that consumers are protected in order to build trust. On that note, I would then ask from the Egyptian perspective, how are you addressing the consumer protection challenges in light of what we've heard now, what was mentioned from the SOMA and the CB UAE perspective, but then also in the context of the rapid fintech growth and all the financial inclusion efforts that we know is also featuring the digital financial services landscape. So just in that sense, Mr. Ayman, how is Egypt addressing the consumer protection challenges?
Thank you, Christine. In Egypt, we started already the mandate of the consumer protection in 2019 by issuing the regulation of consumer protection, covering all the principles of consumer protection following the OECD principles. And at that time, we started to observe the market by putting some sort of focal points at the level of the financial service providers with the Central Bank of Egypt, putting a dedicated unit at the level of the financial service provider, and also a sector for consumer protection at the level of the regulator. It was very hard at the beginning just to explain the concept of the consumer protection, especially that at that time, you know, that we have COVID and all these aspects. So it was the evolution of the digital transformation. So just for some records, we have already a financial inclusion rate for 76% in 2025. We have very promising increase and evolution in terms of digital payments by mobile wallets and instant payments. Of course, that after issuing the instant payment network, it starts to build lots of facilitation for the consumer, and at the same time, lots of challenges. So to refer to the challenges, we are describing the challenge as a risk. So all over the time, how can I address the risk itself? So we are depending on lots of sources for the market monitoring, starting by the regular reports from banks. We are having some ad hoc questionnaires We had some market survey in the market. We have some mystery shopping missions. And at the same time, we are hearing the customer voice by having a dedicated escalated complaints unit at the level of the central bank. So we are getting a raw diagnostic for what customers are having. So I will not depend only on the bank's reporting. I will depend as well for my analysis at the level of the central bank for what we have. So in terms of the analysis of the data, we can split them into some macro analysis and some micro analysis, just to make sure that we have, if we have a cross-cutting risk, which is a challenge in the market, so we have to interfere in a level of the central bank to issue guidelines, regulations, even direct instructions to the banks for the root cause prohibited. At the same time, if it's something micro at the level of the FSB, so we are talking with the FSB itself and solve the issue, preventing the risk to be happened again. In this respect, I will give you some challenges that we track already in the Egyptian market, and at the same time, I will give two examples for what has been done in the market in reflection to this. So we can see that we have a digital financial literacy, lack of financial literacy in terms of digital services, cybersecurity risks, of course, consumer trust, awareness of the financial products itself, even its digital or normal one, transparency, and as well as infrastructure gaps. So we just two examples for what we already did in the market. We issued an IDR mechanism, just explaining how to file a complaint at the level of the bank with all the details, covering all the issues, just to make sure that the client will not have a problem in applying his complaint at the FSB level. And we started a campaign for how to file a complaint. The second one is the key fact statement, which is a very important product. We started with the saving and depository products, and then we will move on with other products. Of course, it's available in the traditional applications and for the digital services, especially in the digital service products. We have lots of complaints concerning reading the terms and conditions. So the key fact statement will be the tool to make sure that the client is already aware of what he's having from the financial service provider. By the end of my answer, these not come from our hands. It's coming from applying an international best practices that we have already with consultants, with being members in international organizations, seeing our peers, what are the experiences that we have, and of course localizing this at the level of the Egyptian culture and what we have in the economy, just to make sure the efficiency of applying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it's what struck me there is the emphasis on evidence-based policymaking, so that you can analyze data, do market research, and then be quite agile to respond. And also, one of the angles that you mentioned was, what happens if something goes wrong, and how can you ensure that consumers not only get that there's not only transparency and full disclosure, but also effective recourse when something does go wrong. So I would like to just go back to you, Nawaf, and just ask, in terms of effective complaint resolution, how is SAMA engaging with financial institutions to ensure that that complaints resolution is effective? Yeah, that's
so.
good.
Yeah, when it comes to handling complaints, recently SAMA launched the complaints management system. to make the process fast and fair and efficient in terms of complaints handling. So this system is directly integrated with the internal systems of financial institutions, allowing complaints to move smoothly between the institution and SAMA. And it's also enable real-time monitoring of how each case is handled, which helps improve both efficiency and accountability. So the main goal is to help a financial institution handle complaints effectively and improve the consumer satisfaction and promote trust in the financial sector. So the system is designed in 3 stages. The first 2 stages are handled within the financial institution, and the third one, if it's not resolved, can be escalated to SAMA. So to make the process efficient, SAMA has set KPIs for each stage. This helps to reduce the number of complaints that reach SAMA, and also to encourage the financial institutions to improve their own complaints handling process. And that enable SAMA's team to focus more on monitoring performance and service quality rather than handling individual complaints. So this approach supports the SAMA strategic goal to protect consumers via policy making, not providing a direct services. Thank you.
Thanks. I think what's interesting for me from what you mentioned there is the real-time monitoring and the integration of the systems to show that the digital transformation and technology is also a tool that can be leveraged by financial sector authorities in the quest for effective consumer protection. And then also the KPI set, so more of a performance-based regulatory approach, where you also hold the financial institutions accountable. If I can come back just very quickly to Mr. Ayman, we only have a few minutes left, but I just want to pick up on something that you mentioned earlier around the need for key fact statements and simplicity and transparency to accommodate consumers where they are at. So what role does financial literacy play in your broader consumer protection strategy?
Okay, so it's a very important and a major player in the consumer protection strategy. At the CBE, we are working in 3 dimensions in financial literacy. The consumer itself, so through the delivery of the financial awareness and education to the consumer through campaigns, through whatever the mean of communication with the consumer. And the second layer is the market players, through we are building up the capacity of banks, financial service providers, and fintechs, and so on. So to make sure that the employees are already respecting what is in the consumer protection regulation, and at the same time the policymaker, this is the third direction. So by delivering specialized programs in partnership with national and international university and organizations. So by this, we are making sure that already the message is delivered to all the layers, and the end consumer, which is the core of the banking activity or the financial service activity, is already respected, and at the same time with the fair treatment and with a transparent information that is already provided to them.
Thank you very much. And I think picking up on that, different layers and the fact that you've got consumers, you've got market players, you've got the regulator, you've often got different regulatory authorities, data protection, cybersecurity, financial regulatory authority. So that need for a multi-pronged approach is definitely something that comes across strongly. We only have about 5 minutes left. So Mr. Fahmy, I just want to end with you to give us a few parting thoughts around how the UAE balances innovation with consumer safeguards. And then also there's been a question in the chat around just finding out how the efficacy or the impact of the social media campaigns can be measured, and if you have any results in that regard. So I'm going to add that question for you as a little tail as well, and then anybody else can also just pitch in on this question. But first, just give us summary impressions of how you balance innovation with consumer safeguards.
Sure. Thank you, Christine. So basically, the UAE is committed to being a hub of financial innovations, recognizing its potential to drive economic growth and enhance access to essential services. So saying this, the central bank have created the regulatory sandbox, which is a brilliant tool that allows innovators and the regulators to test new products or business models, which falls under the innovations, and that happens in controlled environment. Before it's basically launched with the fully fledged operations to the public, and that allows us as a regulators to basically test and feel out how that could impact on the public. Secondly, as I mentioned, the consumer protection regulations and standards developed by the central bank in terms of applicability applies to all the licensed financial institution. That means any entity that get licensed by the central bank, they would have to abide by the requirement of those regulations, which basically made to protect consumers. Those set of regulations basically have specific measures, basically targeted measures, specifically designed for vulnerable customers. For just to give an example, for example, we have a specific ask or specific requirement for the people of special needs or people of determination. Just for the sake of example, where we have as licensed entities to develop their websites in a fashion that basically allow people of special needs to be able to access the information on the public domains. We have mandated regular trainings for the frontliners to deal with people with special needs. So that's how the central banks today basically balance between innovation and consumer protection.
Thank you. And I see you've already answered in the chat around social media campaigns. If you want to just use a few seconds to just update everybody on that as well.
Sure.
Because
sure.
I think
so
that's an increasingly relevant topic. So how do you measure the effectiveness?
Sure. So as a regulator, basically we measure the impact of the social media campaign through a sentiment analysis, which basically involves tracking of public reaction, engagement levels, and usually that's something also the LFI themselves do. Again, in the consumer protection regulation and standards, beside mandating each licensed entity to have education and awareness function, we have basically put some mandate on the management to measure the impact of all the educational campaign that they release.
Okay, thank you very much. We have less than a minute remaining. So I just want to thank all our panelists and just wrap up to say that the impression for me is really this balancing act between innovation and risk and protection and being agile, data-driven and agile. And as Her Excellency said, making sure that regulation doesn't pose barriers, but bridges to ultimately serve the broader objectives of the central banks as well. So on that note, I will end off. Thank you again and have a good day further. And for the audience, enjoy the rest of the sessions that you'll be tuning into. Thank you.